biggest story of our lifetime and nobody is discussing it.
Here's one, and people go out in the Mojave Desert. Michael Schratt took this picture when it was okay to fly near it in a small private plane. It is the site for the Lockheed Range underground entrance. What's in there? Well, there are man-made, and this is the big story, no one's telling you. A large number of the UAPs are in fact deep black budget electrogravitic electromagnetic field propulsion devices based on the study of extraterrestrial vehicles that began in the 1940s. That is a fact, and we can prove it. So when you see these sort of places, just remember many of them, I want to be careful what I'm saying here. Someone who is in charge of the black budget of the United States in 2022 and went out to the Lockheed Skunk Works based on some information he had. He was shown a bunch of old jet aircraft. He knew he was being gaslit, and they reached out to me, and I said, what do you want? I'll give you everything we have. And that's what's happened over the last 16 months. So I cannot name this person, but they're a wonderful person of enormous integrity and a hero of our country. So I want to just go through quickly some of the new ones who aren't here. Now, the reason these have initials, they're waiting to be cleared for coming forward publicly. They're afraid. Let me explain to you why they are. This man, here's just his incoming letter. We get these every day. Now, he's afraid he'll lose his pension. He signed an 80-year non-disclosure agreement. He has been threatened, and some of these have seriously had their lives threatened. It's a very thuggish situation going on that the Department of Justice and FBI need to drill down on very quickly. Next. Here's an illustration of one event that he was involved in back when there was a extraterrestrial vehicle that crashed and then ultimately ended up at Lawton, Oklahoma, near Fort Sill. This man has been in a skiff with these objects. These illustrations are based on his direct testimony and hours of discussions since 2016. Here is a small extraterrestrial body, about 39 inches long, that was retrieved in that operation. There are extraterrestrials of various sizes. The last known count I had of different civilizations involved with this, about 60 to 70 in that range, and I think there could be more. Next. This is one of the underground command centers that he was assigned to from the Pentagon. He was with Technical Management Office and then some other offices and investigated some criminal activities that occurred with a 3-star general related to this subject that the Department of Justice was basically unable to prosecute because they were denied access to the operations. Next. Here's one that was also in this another facility as an extraterrestrial vehicle. He actually was there very close to it. This gentleman wants to come forward. He needs to be protected, and this is why we're calling for explicit witness protection and explicit pension and asset protection for these whistleblowers. Next. And this is just an indication of a type of electromagnetic system that actually can cloak any tank or any object that we've developed over the years, and he was read into this as well. Next. So there's another gentleman. I'm going to run through these very quickly. We'd be here for 30 hours if I didn't. I'm just giving you a tip of the iceberg, right? This is a guy who is at the Dugway Proving Grounds, very key facility, MS we call him. He worked for C. Martin Corporation, contractor, and he was in a facility that had an extraterrestrial vehicle that was being studied by scientists. He knows the chief scientist involved. He has named that individual to us, and they can all be subpoenaed now. So this object was there in 2009. He didn't know the date of acquisition, but he thought it was fairly recent. Next. He also was read into and had the chief scientist show him the location, which we now have, of a DUM, deep underground military base, that is in the Dugway sector, so-called Avery sector, A-V-E-R-Y, and it has huge capacity for parking. You go in, and there's a vast underground complex in that location. That location has been handed off to investigators with the U.S. government. Next. This gives an illustration of the size of this. You could put easily on the platform that goes down the Air Force One. It's a very large elevator, goes down underground. Next. And then we have this gentleman. He was not long ago in the Nellis Range in the Nevada test site north of Nellis Air Force Base. And he, next slide, was on a retrieval team. Now, let me explain how this guy got involved. He was recruited out of Fort Campbell to be somebody to be on a retrieval team with a top secret clearance to pick up when we have an accident with a helicopter or jet, because there's classified technology on those often. And our YouTube pilot here will explain that perhaps. But the point is, he went from there, and that was preparatory to being on a retrieval team for this. So he was involved with this operation. It was a man-made, so-called alien reproduction vehicle, it's called by some people, or AT. A lot of people just call them advanced technology. It's a euphemism. But it's based on studying the electrogravitics and magnetic field propulsion systems of the interstellar vehicles that involve the science of quantum entanglement and, going, basically you want to go from one point in space and to another, say this is one point, this is another. You're not going through a straight line, you're folding space-time. That's how you're doing. And we're not going to do a physics lesson here, had enough of that in pre-med. But anyway, so this is an object, and I'm not a physicist, we have a physicist here. But this object was retrieved because it became disabled. Some of these retrieval operations are not extraterrestrial, but they would like sometimes the public to think maybe it was, because the bigger secret, I'll tell you right now, is not the extraterrestrial issue. It's these technologies, which an unsupervised and frankly illegal operation have, which is a threat to the national security, period.